Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tom Cottingham. I am the CEO and co-founder of Flyover Future. And today we are having another one of our discussions with the 2023 cohort of the Vogt Award, each of whom has won $25,000 and is participating in an accelerator right now. And that 25K is non-dilutive. Today we have Chris Matthews and Cecile Matthews, and they're the co-founders of Gamerabble. And I'd like to welcome you both here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's start with just some highlights of how your journey to Gamerabble and where you guys are now. I mean, congratulations! Not only are they winners of the Vogt Award, but you also received a year ago $100,000 from Render. And I guess you just got accepted into the Tampa Bay accelerator program as well. Is that true?
Tampa Bay Wave was
2021.
2021. That was a little bit ago.
Okay. Well, you're still on a roll. Congratulations on all of that. So, Cecile, you want to start off and just talk about how you got to this point as a founder of a startup?
Sure. Yeah, so actually it started with Chris going through a venture studio program. That's where he, started working on and thinking about developing the idea for a coaching business in the esports industry. So starting from there, esports and video games is something that he's always been interested in, avid gamer. And then, he was working on it. And then a few months later, I started, well, all along I was kind of, providing some input and, kind of trying to be part of it. But, fast forward a few months, and that's when I kind of officially joined because my background involves coaching. So, we realized we could combine his interest in esports and technology and my background in coaching and work together on this. And that's actually what we did right before we got into the Tampa Bay Waves accelerator. So that's the first accelerator that we did, I guess, a couple of years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was when we had just launched our MVP, the online marketplace for coaching. And we were starting to, work on getting our first customers, our first sales. And then coming out of that program, that's where we heard about the Render competition that you referred to. And so we applied to that and, basically kept the ball rolling. And then the Render competition, that was, huge for us. That was our first outside investment. And that's what brought us to Louisville and really kind of opened the doors for us on a lot of opportunities, connections. There's a great ecosystem for startups and for founders there. So we really kind of plugged into that. That was, like you said, last fall. And then, here we are. We just competed for and we're one of the companies selected for the Vogt Awards. And it's a great opportunity for us because we've been working on the company for a couple of years already. And I think we've learned a lot. And this is a great time to use the accelerator program to, as the name implies, help us accelerate, the new direction that we want to take the business in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we'll talk about some of those later on. Chris, you're a serial entrepreneur, it appears. I mean, you've been involved in, or the founder of numerous startups. And it looks like you've always been that way. Have you always been fairly entrepreneurial?
Not really. I've always been interested. I actually spent most of my professional life working in childcare as a daycare director for a local city in Florida. Spent a long time doing that. That was actually one of my first jobs when I was a teenager. Did a couple other things, ended up coming back to that, ended up being, running the entire thing. And I did that for a really long time. And then, that entrepreneurial bug sort of got me. And, I went through a few. I had an online marketplace that we ended up having a little bit of an exit on. We sold it off to another company. I went and had another short-lived business for various reasons called Live Well Home, which focused on utilizing existing technology to allow seniors to age in place more gracefully, basically to utilize things that already exist to keep them from having to, be sent to a nursing home or something like that, because there's so many things that can actually help them with their lives. But the big problem there is actually getting seniors to be able to adopt these things and to be able to utilize them as well. So that was another big idea we had. That ended up sort of flaming out mostly because my co-founder and I were on separate coasts, and to be able to really get it going, it was hard to be able to accomplish that. I still believe in the idea, but I had an opportunity, as Cecile had mentioned, with this esports and coaching platform as well, which was something that I had long been thinking about. So I started working on it, went through the program, and we've been building and building ever since then.
Well, you've picked a super interesting area of business. Esports is growing, 20+% a year, and it will be, a $7 billion business in the next 5 to 7 years. The NBA and MLB are each about 10, right? So and with not awesome margins from what I can tell, right? So you look at it, esports, the margins have got to be much higher, I would think. And there's already kids making them, more than $1 million a year doing it. Some kids making, I don't know if he's a kid, but $6.7 million last year or something. So it's a real business. And that's when the coaching comes in, because people are very serious about this. And there's a ton of revenue out there, and it's growing like crazy. I think the pandemic was a big boost. You've been launched for a while. What have you learned about your customers, and what kind of pivots have you made or not made since you've launched?
Sure, we definitely have learned a lot, and one of the big things that we've learned is, even beyond the professional esports scene where there is money to be had, there's many more people that are new gamers or just those casual gamers that want coaching. In part because so many things happen online now, and everybody wants to be able to go online, play this game that they otherwise love, and be able to play it for longer than 2 minutes before a 12-year-old kills them and posts them awful things online. So a lot of people, they recognize, I could get coaching and get much better much faster, and it will definitely help my enjoyment in this. So we have found that it's not even really the people that want to be professional gamers that want coaching. It's the casual gamers. It's the new gamers.
Really?
It's graybeard gamers. I can tell you, we have one customer that initially bought coaching for his son, and then he ended up buying coaching for himself. And now he is our biggest repeat customer for himself, much more so than his kid. So that was definitely an eye-opener as well. We knew these gamers were out there, but we have definitely found that these are really the gamers that, because there's billions of gamers in them, and they come in all sorts of ages and all sorts of ethnicities and demographics and backgrounds. So most of them are not these professional gamers.
Okay.
Most of them will never be a professional gamer.
Oh, right.
The amount of dedication and time that it takes to be a professional gamer is astounding.
It's like any sport, right? I mean, you play basketball at the YMCA, and then maybe you go to a basketball camp, or maybe you get some coaching and you play junior high and high school maybe. But with each level, it's an order of magnitude more difficult. to get there. But there's still millions of kids playing and buying, basketball equipment. And a lot of them are thinking, man, someday I might, be in the NBA, where they know that, they have a better chance of probably winning the lottery. But so, I mean, the dynamic exists, in all these sports where there's a ton of amateurs, some of whom have aspirations to do more, so most of whom probably don't, who are investing in the sport. And I remember back in the day, I ran a gaming magazine. I mean, this is, before the internet. And I'll never forget the flight simulator guys had built cockpits in their living rooms, right? And it invested a lot of money in it, with pedals and, yokes and the whole deal. And it was fascinating. They would send pictures. They were so proud of it. And there was no revenue there for them at all. They were just really into the experience and really wanted to do it at a high level. And so, yeah, I get it. And I think that there's huge amounts of money going to be spent on the amateurs, like you said, as there are in every other sport, right? So what else have you learned? Pricing, is that changed, or is that for the coaching?
Yeah, we have found that a lot of people are unable to purchase coaching because, you can find extremely high level players that offer coaching. And first of all, just, being a great player isn't going to make you a great coach. No, just get that off the table. But, because they are well known and because they're great players, they charge exorbitant amounts of money for their coaching.
Sure.
And, most people can't afford that or don't really see the value in paying, $150 an hour or more than that.
Wow.
So, we try and keep that cost down, and partly because, yeah, you can, if I wanted to go out and learn how to play golf, if I went and hired Tiger Woods, everyone would be wasting their time and I would be wasting my money because
Right.
he is so far beyond what I will likely ever be. I'm not really going to get anything out of it. What you need is a better quality coach that can actually, sit down and empathize and get in there with the player that they're sitting across from, either in person or online, and actually be able to help them in a way that's helpful to them at their level. Not at this level, but at the level that they're at and a little bit higher. So we've found that, these super high prices and these super high level players aren't going to be the best situation for 95% of the gamers out there that might want to hire coaches.
Right. And I noticed that there were some coaches that were also performance coaches that did more general coaching about performance, right? And so there's this whole other layer that really has probably a lot more to do with the mental aspect and, all of those things, rather than, what's going to be around the corner in the next room kind of thing, which I thought was really interesting, right? I mean, I was just cruising through some of the profiles, and there were several people who had a background in coaching and then had seemed to add gaming on top of it. And I thought, oh, that makes a huge amount of sense. And you're going to get a lot of value out of that kind of a person, right? Who knows how people learn and has really studied it. So you've been live for a while. You've learned a lot. You've gotten pricing down to a level that is much more compatible with the broad mass of gamers that you're going after. And you've won this, 25 grand. And I'm sure you have a laundry list of things you want to do with the money and then probably want to raise more money. So tell me a little bit about the next, 12 to 18 months, what you guys are planning, what your challenges and opportunities might be.
Well, so right now we're working on launching a new platform. So I think I alluded to it earlier in that the MVP was the online marketplace connecting players and coaches. And then the next thing that we added on was the match analyzer. So a piece of software where you can upload a recording of a play session, and then the analyzer will tell you, what you did well, what you need to work on, and provide suggestions for improvement. So those are the first two pieces of, our products and services. And when we built them initially, when Chris built them initially, they were separate. And so now we like to bring them together. So we're working on a platform that integrates both, offerings, to, not only make the business run better, but also to serve, the customer experience better, right? So we're hoping to launch the platform in the next
3 weeks, hopefully.
And so once the new platform is live and, tested out and everything, that's when we're really going to focus a lot of efforts into attracting new customers and users to that platform. And, we're putting a heavy emphasis on getting people to sign up for the software. So those are the two things that are kind of maybe the near term. But to your question about, what does the future hold type of thing? So that's probably, the biggest maybe adjustment we've made in terms of, what we're going to offer next. And I'll let you take it from here, because this is kind of, I think, to a certain extent, Chris's baby, and kind of like a new exciting direction for us.
One of the things that we're going to implement in the new platform is a sort of personal AI-based coaching assistant.
I saw those two magic letters.
Yeah. So, what we want to do is, we are going to roll out our coaching assistant, because a lot of people, they just need questions answered. So we're going to allow people to come in and, ask their questions from our AI coaching assistant. And so that will be able to, for one thing, give them, quick feedback and really actionable things on what they can do with their gameplay. They can describe what problem they're having. They can just, ask a question, what do I do if in this game? And Ava, that's her name, she can answer those questions. Not only that, she can actually take your personality type and match it with the personality type of the coaches that we have. If you want coaching, she can guide you in that direction and say, hey, I've got the perfect person that can help you with that. And you guys match up personally. You guys match up personally very well, and you're going to work together very well as well. So she can, answer these questions, and then she can also guide you towards coaching if you want something a little bit more in depth, or she can actually guide you back towards the software for the match analyzer as well. So we're really excited about getting Ava out there to help coaches on, a very quick level, because not everybody needs to pay for an hour of coaching.
Right.
If you just need, a quick answer on something. And if that's not enough, then we can go to the next level with the software and the in-person coaching as well.
So is there any connection between, I hate to use the phrase the AI, but I will, between the AI and the data engine there and the one on the game analyzer? It would seem to me that they would share information back and forth, but are those related at all? I mean, is that whole suite kind of an AI-driven suite?
It will be. We've got to build out that database so that the two can go back and forth. That's a little bit longer term after we get it launched, but that's definitely something that's in the cards. And in the future, we'd like to have a full-fledged AI coach that you can actually sit down with and get a little bit more in depth and do something more than just asking questions. And that's going to be part of integrating the analyzer with.
Right. I would think the analyzer would come back and say, okay, you got an 8 out of 10, whatever. Here are the two things you need to work on. Here's 4 or 5 coaches that can help you. Or, here's another resource, a video, or, whatever.
Right.
So that would be kind of the end game. I mean, the technical, it makes a ton of sense. And then it would also, I suppose, be able to suggest players too, right? Like, here's people at your level that are, are playing the same game that are also trying to get better, or not? Is that not an issue with them?
Potentially. So, that starts to getting into, one of the other issues that we like to, try and solve is, players do want to find other players, not only at their level, but they'll actually be able to play with, because there's so much toxicity and awful things that happen in online video games. And, we try and, our ethos is to be a lot, more friendly to all gamers. We try and bring in a lot of female coaches and a lot of other coaches, the LGBTQ plus community, because they tend to be pushed out to the outskirts when they are playing online as well. So that's, as far as finding other players, we're trying to, at the same time, build up that community as well of people that have, the same sort of ethos and mindset that we do as well. We don't want to be out there feeding into the toxicity and just existing for the purpose of making money, or just, being another gaming company. We want to be a full-fledged community for these people that don't necessarily feel like they can go to these other places, or, potentially they don't belong in these other places as well.
Right. That makes a ton of sense. And I'm sure as the gaming world broadens, right, and as designers of games become more sensitive to those kinds of issues, that'll become important to the community at large, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to this very small minority of bullies who seem to get a lot of pleasure in just being mean.
Yeah.
But and I know we've seen an uptick in women gamers, right? I mean, pretty substantial ones. So I think that population demographics is gonna change a lot, right?
Absolutely.
And then you talked about graybeards, but yeah, you do see, and I'm wondering, as the boomers start to retire, if there's going to be a segment of boomers that really get into gaming, and I would assume there will be.
There already is.
So I was just going to say, have you noticed
Yeah.
that trend already?
Yeah. So, besides from, the one dad that we talked about earlier, you can see there are actually sort of senior gaming leagues and teams that are starting to pop up. And, I can tell you, myself as a child of the 80s, I could definitely still be gaming in, 20, 30, 40 years, so long as, I can still make my hands work,
Yeah.
So, and I think it's beneficial to seniors as well. It gives them something social to do. It gives them, a lot of practice, with their health, with their, their physical skills and their mental skills as well. So, I mean, there's skills beyond just, playing a game. I think it actually helps seniors in the long run as well.
Oh, I think it's these communities of gamers, right, that are playing with their headsets on and stuff. They do become very interesting social communities, right? And that's healthy. And a lot of people that I mean, there's a segment of the population that is I mean, a lot of kids on the autism spectrum, for instance, who do a lot of gaming. Like, that's what they do. And to the extent they interact with anybody outside of their family, it's the people in that community, right? Which I found really, really interesting. I mean, it is an important form of social interaction for a lot of people. And then I see a lot of 80s dads whose 12-year-old sons are challenging them to Madden, and and who could play it back in the day, and who want to up their game quickly so that they can school their kids.
Absolutely.
And so that's been a funny dynamic too, right? So there is this older segment, which is of course growing. And then I did see people that were offering coaching who clearly spoke other languages. So it's a global marketplace. Are you seeing a global distribution, or is it mostly in the States just because that's where you've been able to promote it?
Oh no, we're all over the world, absolutely all over the world. You know, in the United States, Australia is a big one. A lot of the Eastern European countries are very big. England's very big as well. Yeah, those are our some of our biggest markets right there.
I mean, what a great opportunity, right? I mean, that's investors and everyone else wants to know, how big is this market you're going after? And, it's a ginormous market.
Mhm.
And I think the community aspect is going to be a real important part of what you're doing, right?
Agreed.
Because there's a bunch of little communities that have developed that can become, a connected larger community and expand and morph, like you said, over time, that the ethos of the community starts to change a little bit.
Mhm.
Both as people get a little wiser, and secondly, as demographics change, right? So you're going to launch the platform with the analyzer, which is really cool. And then what do you think the time frame is for having the kind of V1 of the fully integrated package that we're sort of talking about? Is that a year away, 2 years away? Is that a money thing? I mean, could it be accelerated if you had $1 million?
Well, I'd say V1 is going to be actually available in the next 6 weeks. And then, being able to utilize the software with, our AI coach, that's probably, 8 months away, I'd say, because, just to really fully form that AI coach and get the databases talking back and forth and everything, it's going to take a little bit of practice and making sure, that it's trained well and, cleaning up the data and everything. But first we got to make sure these other smaller steps work perfectly before we get to the next one.
Still 8 months that's near term. That's tomorrow. How do you guys do the QA on that? Do you go recruit beta testers? Okay, right.
Yeah, we Reddit was a great resource for finding beta testers.
Well, and gamers are great beta testers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're the best, right? I mean, they want to find the problems, and all the little secrets. And then what about capital? Are you raising money now? Are you feeling pretty good about things?
I think, the point that you made is valid in terms of, like, if we had more money, we'd be able to, hire more resources to help us develop the technology faster, as well as market it. So we are fundraising, but as you know, the environment is challenging. And,
To say the least.
Sorry.
To say the least, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So given our limited resources of, time, we're putting a lot of energy into, I think we would say that we're focusing our energy on making sure that the launch of the new platform, goes really well, and we pull as many users onto it. So, when we, I guess, continue our conversations with investors, we have that to show them, and hopefully that will help us, lock in the next round of money that would, help us grow faster.
Right. So hit this milestone and have it out in the market for a while, and then I think you go raise the money, and because you've got a really good, solid platform that's got the primary functionality that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's exciting, and I think you're onto something that's really interesting and is going to be growing like crazy. And that means there's going to be a lot of money there. And I think that pulling people together in a community and providing coaching, and I mean, if a platform like this works, there's lots of other things you can apply it to, right? So I think that, I look at it and I'm like, you could do this for a million different things, right? Maybe not a million, but many. So that's interesting as well, right? So I wish you all success, and I hope the next 8 months goes really well for you, and you get it launched. I'll be paying attention. I'm hoping to get all 6 companies on one group thing that's after we finish this series and you guys get done with the accelerator, and just kind of share thoughts and how the experience has been, and have a final chat. So we'll reach out to you for that. But thanks so much for joining us. Any other things you'd like to add before we sign off?
If anybody's a gamer out there, you can check out the coaching platform at Gamerabble.com, or you can check out the current match analyzer at academy.gamerabble.com.
Okay. I hope everyone got that, and I'll be checking them out. Thanks very much, guys, and we'll be talking soon, I hope.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.